Detroit Speed's new 800 series steering gearbox is a top choice for those seeking superior performance, control, and reliability from their classic GM truck. This steering gearbox is a direct bolt-on replacement for the 1968 to 91 C and R series trucks and is compatible with the original factory pitman arm. Thanks to our low-friction gear design and Detroit-tuned rack and pinion valve technology, our steering gearboxes provide smoother handling and an improved steering feel compared to an original gearbox. This is not a rebuilt unit. Detroit Speed steering gearboxes feature 100% brand new components and are almost 7 pounds lighter than the OE steering gearbox. Just like our 600 series steering gearbox, our 800 series feature a quick ratio of 12.7 to 1. This gearbox offers agile and responsive steering, giving you greater confidence on the road and the ability to take corners with ease and precision. Today, we're going to show you how easy it is to install Detroit Speed's 800 series gearbox on a 1983 square body C10. Support the vehicle on jack stands. For visual purposes for this install, we remove the front fender as opposed to the front wheel. Remove the hardware connecting the rag joint to the steering column or the steering shaft. Remove the pitman arm nut from the steering gear. Remove the pitman arm from the steering gear using a pitman arm removal tool. If the vehicle has original power steering, inspect the arm for wear and save for reinstallation later. If the vehicle has manual steering, you'll need a replacement power steering pitman arm. Remove the pressure and return hoses from the back of the power steering pump. We will be using the DSC power steering hose kit as well as the DSC power steering pump fitting during this installation. Remove the power steering hoses from the steering gear. With the original steering gear properly supported, remove the bolts that attach the gear to the frame rail and remove the steering gear from the vehicle. These bolts will be reused for installation of the new steering gear. Center the gear on the bench before it is installed. Turn the input shaft all the way to one side. Turn the gear all the way in the other direction and count the turns. Turn the gear back in the opposite direction, 1/2 the number of turns. Install the steering gear fittings into the appropriate ports in the steering gear. The return port fitting size is a smaller M16 by 1.5 mm, and the pressure port fitting size is a larger M18 by 1.5 mm port. Do not over-tighten. Place the DSC steering gear against the frame. Install the original steering gear bolts into the new steering gear. Use anti-seize on the threads of the bolts. Tighten the bolts and torque them to 70 foot-pounds. Make sure the steering wheel is straight. Attach the pitman arm onto the DSC steering gear. Make sure the dust shield is on the steering gear before the pitman arm is installed. Install the pitman arm nut and washer onto the steering gear and tighten. Torque the nut to 120 foot-pounds. This box allows use of your original rag joint, but Detroit Speed does offer a replacement 3/4 30 rag joint, part number 090205DS. For this install, we will be using Detroit Speed steering shaft kit for the C and R series trucks. This kit includes a U-joint for the gearbox, a U-joint for the column, and a telescoping steering shaft. Detroit Speed offers 3 steering shaft kits for the 1968 to 91 C and R series truck. Each kit covers a different year range of these trucks. Please refer to your vehicle year-specific instructions for installing this kit. If using the Detroit Speed rag joint, please refer to the instructions for part number 090205DS. If using your factory rag joint, reassemble it to the new steering gear box the way it was disassembled from your original box. Loosely install the pre-crimped power steering hose ends onto the steering gear fittings. Route the hoses to the power steering pump while noting the desired position of the 90-degree -6AN fitting used on the pressure hose in the hose kit. Remove the hoses from the steering gear fittings and tightly wrap the steel braid with the tape at the cut line. Cut the hoses to length. Cutting through the layers of tape will keep the braid from excessive flaring. Install the return hose clamp fitting over the freshly cut -8AN larger return hose. Remove the nut from the 90° -6AN fitting and slide it over the freshly cut -6AN smaller supply hose and remove the tape. Insert the ferrule between the stainless steel braiding and the PTFE hose. Attach the hose with the installed ferrule onto the 90° -6AN fitting and loosely secure the nut. Loosely install the larger diameter return hose onto the reservoir's barb fitting using the hose clamp and cover. Tighten the hose clamp on the return fitting. Install the DSE power steering pump fitting into the back of the pump where the pressure hose was removed. Do not over-tighten. Securely tighten the 90° -6AN fitting onto the outlet fitting at the back of the pump. Reinstall the driver's side front wheel and tire and put the vehicle back on the ground. Torque the front wheel. Since the pitman arm has been removed and reinstalled, an alignment by a professional alignment shop is recommended. Add power steering fluid to the system. All air must be bled from the system. Bleed the system by slowly turning the steering wheel from full left lock to full right lock several times. Avoid hard steering input into the full lock positions. Check the fluid level and maintain it at full mark or 1/2 to 3/4 inches above the reservoir inlet fitting. Repeat the previous steps 3 to 4 times. Start the engine and repeat the previous steps to finish bleeding the steering system. Turn off the engine and recheck the fluid levels. To learn more about Detroit Speed's 800 series steering gearbox, feel free to call our sales team at 704-662-3272. You can also send us an email at sales@detroitspeed.com. Don't forget to like and follow us on social media, and we'll see you next time.